Age 753. Son Goku defeats King Piccolo, ending his reign of terror across the Earth and entering an era of peace. Age 756. Goku enters the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, encountering Piccolo Jr., defeating him and becoming the world champion. Age 761. The peace Goku and his allies have experienced up until now comes to a screeching halt with the arrival of Goku's proclaimed brother, Raditz. Goku, not yet aware of his brother's presence, prepares to take his son Gohan to Kame House to meet his old friends Krillin, Bulma, and Master Roshi. But before they can leave, Gohan is kidnapped by 3 alien warriors. Wait, what? "300 years ago, Garlic and a nameless Namekian stood before the Guardian of Earth, or Kami, one wishing to be Earth's new guardian, the other its ruler. Foreseeing Garlic's dark intentions, Kami refused him and selected the Namekian as his pupil. Garlic, enraged, attempted to take the throne by force. He was quickly defeated by Kami and swore he would have revenge in 300 years' time. That revenge arrived right on schedule in the form of his son, Garlic Jr., who, with the help of his 3 henchmen, Ginger, Nikki, and Sancho, managed to gather the Dragon Balls and wish for something no villain in the franchise would accomplish again: immortality. This poses a problem. Earth's Dragon Balls, while powerful, are not without rules. After a wish has been made, the Dragon Balls are randomly scattered across the face of the Earth, where they turn to stone and become undetectable for a full year. Yet here we have Gohan, in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, with the 4-star Dragon Ball on his hat. In order for this to be true, Deadzone would have to take place a full year before, which is widely believed to be the case. And that's not even including the time it would have taken Goku to find the 4-star Dragon Ball, plus the other 2 he found while he was looking for it.
I've got the 3-star ball and the 6-star ball too!
The same scene also contains dialogue that suggests that Deadzone didn't occur. Not only is it heavily implied that Bulma hadn't seen Krillin or Master Roshi since the events of Dragon Ball 5 years prior.
Anyway, why isn't Launch here?
Oh, she's long gone. She went chasing after Tien Shinhan 5 years ago.
But when Goku arrives, everyone is surprised to find out he has a son.
He's my son. Your son!
But wait, didn't Goku just seek their help a year ago when that very same son was kidnapped?
Mind if I borrow your radar?
And it's this very scene that not only disproves Deadzone, but every Dragon Ball Z movie to follow, except maybe Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, but we'll get to that. Take a look at what everyone's wearing. Look familiar? I feel like we just saw— oh wait, everyone is dressed exactly the same way they are in the beginning of the series. Sure, Goku and Krillin have pretty predictable wardrobes, and it is possible that Roshi was really feeling the green shirt, or even just happened to be wearing it during both events. It is his house after all. But Bulma? This is a character who changes outfits and hairstyles more often than Goku gets hungry. She's one of the richest people in the world and literally carries houses in her pocket thanks to her family's capsule technology. And yet, we're supposed to believe that she looks exactly the same during 2 events separated by over a year. There is a very simple explanation for this. Raditz and Garlic Jr. arrived on the same day, but in different timelines. Deadzone was never meant to be an additional story, it was meant to be an alternate beginning. Both tell the story of an alien warrior, one from Goku's past and the other from Piccolo's, arriving on Earth, kidnapping Gohan, and forcing Goku and Piccolo to set their differences aside and work together. These 2 scenes are meant to show us that the events are on the same day in parallel universes and were never meant to fit together in the first place. And that's why Deadzone can't happen. Age 761. Son Goku sacrifices his life in the battle against his brother Raditz. With his dying breath, Raditz informs Piccolo that in 1 year, 2 even more powerful Saiyans would arrive. Piccolo passes on the message to Goku's friends, then takes his son Gohan and prepares to train him for the Saiyan invasion. Age 762. Vegeta and Nappa arrive on Earth. Along with their cultivated life forms, the Cybermen, they wipe out over half of the Earth's special forces, including Piccolo, disabling the Dragon Balls forever. After a long and vicious battle, Vegeta is defeated and leaves the Earth. Leaving Goku, Gohan, and Krillin to mourn the loss of their friends, who can never return. All hope seems lost when suddenly Krillin and Bulma hatch a plan to travel to Piccolo's homeworld, with the hope that they too have Dragon Balls. As they prepare for departure, Oolong borrows Bulma's Dragon Radar and notices that 4 of Earth's Dragon Balls have been brought together. Okay, how is that even possible? Approximately 50 years before the start of Dragon Ball Z, Dr. Wheelo and his assistant, Dr. Cochin, were close to realizing their goal of enhancing the human race with their breakthroughs in biotechnology when an avalanche buried their laboratory in the Sumrai Zubri Mountains. Dr. Wheelo's body suffered irreparable frostbite damage, but his brain lived on thanks to Dr. Cochin. Over the next 50 years, they continued to make advancements with their biotech research, including the ability to transfer Wheelo's consciousness to a new body. With this new breakthrough, it was time for Dr. Cochin to escape, find the Dragon Balls, and free Dr. Wheelo from his icy tomb. Then, along with his bio-warriors Kishime, Misokatsune, and Ebifuria, it was time to find Wheelo a new body. The world's strongest. It's very clear the events of this film occur after the battle with Nappa and Vegeta. Not only does Goku perform both the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, techniques he learned in Otherworld after his death against Raditz, but Gohan has a memory of Piccolo sacrificing his life for him to stop a lethal attack from Nappa. Goku's recent resurrection, followed almost immediately by Piccolo's death, would have disabled the Dragon Balls completely, making it impossible for Cochin to make the wish he did. Another problem, Piccolo is alive in the world's strongest. He may be a little confused.
Stop it, Mr. Piccolo!
But he's very much alive. This would only be possible if the world's strongest took place after the events on planet Namek. But if that were the case, Goku would have either been floating through space avoiding his family, or powerful enough to end the movie in 3 minutes thanks to that one thing that happened on Namek. And that's why the world's strongest can't happen. Age 737. The Saiyan child Kakarot is born and sent to planet Earth with a mission to exterminate all life, narrowly missing the destruction of his home world at the hands of the galactic tyrant, Frieza. Age 762. With the Saiyans defeated, Gohan, Krillin, Bulma, and Oolong decide to go on a much-needed camping trip. A wildfire erupts, endangering the lives of the animals nearby. Krillin and Gohan manage to put out the flames, and Gohan meets his new friend Icarus, who would remain by his side for years to come. Who? Sometime before the destruction of planet Vegeta, the low-class Saiyan, Turles, grew tired of working for Frieza and decided to leave his army to conquer planets for himself. While searching for new planets with his team, the Crusher Corps, Turles came across the Shinsaiju, or Tree of Might. This tree draws the life force from an entire planet, which is then transferred to its fruit where it can be consumed for an exponential power boost. Turles and his men gathered its seeds and traveled through space to find a planet capable of growing a new Tree of Might. Their search brought them to Earth. While Turles' existence is totally plausible, his time of arrival has many inconsistencies with the main Dragon Ball Z story. Like the world's strongest, Goku's use of the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb definitely placed the film after the Saiyan saga. Krillin and Gohan also used the Kienzan and Masenko respectively, techniques they didn't display until fighting Nappa and Vegeta. Piccolo's protective nature over Gohan further implies that their friendship is well established, which culminated during the same battle. On top of all that, the Dragon Balls were used once again in this film. Tree of Might features one of the only times that Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, and Yamcha all fight together, and it's awesome. But if it occurred when it was supposed to, over half of them would have been dead. Luckily, clothing comes to the rescue again, this time in the form of the symbol worn on Goku's back. This symbol, meaning wisdom or enlightenment, isn't worn by Goku until after his gravity training on his way to planet Namek. The only way for everyone to be alive and for Goku to be wearing this symbol is for the events of Tree of Might to take place a full year and a half after Namek when Goku returns. The more likely scenario? Tree of Might is once again in an alternate timeline. In this reality, Goku made it back to Earth from King Kai's before the battle with the Saiyans began. If this happened, Goku would have made short work of Nappa and the Cybermen, preventing the death of his allies and likely being able to overcome Vegeta without any casualties. Without the death of Piccolo and the loss of the Dragon Balls, there would have been no reason to go to Namek. Unfortunately for Turles and the Crusher Corps, that wasn't the case. And that's why Tree of Might can't happen.
Age 261. A violent storm erupts on planet Namek, wiping out most of the planet's inhabitants. Fearing the end of his people, the Namekian Katas puts his son in a spaceship and sends him to an unknown destination, with the hope that Namek will live on through him. Age 762. Terror strikes Namek again as the galactic tyrant Frieza invades with intent to use the Namekian Dragon Balls for eternal life. Frieza's plans are ultimately thwarted by Goku, but Namek is destroyed in the process. Back on Earth, the Dragon Balls are used to restore Namek and its inhabitants. Piccolo, now able to return to the home he never knew, decides to remain on Earth, where he finds peace and tranquility next to a roaring waterfall. His meditation is short-lived as he receives an unwelcome visit from his friend Gohan along with his pet dragon Icarus. Wait, did we do this one already?
Approximately 500 years before the events of Dragon Ball Z, a nameless baby Namekian was sent off-world to avoid the planet's impending extinction. The baby landed on planet Slug, where a rare mutation among Namekians began to take hold of him, changing his innocent heart to one of pure evil. The new Super Namekian took the name of his new homeworld for himself, and soon Slug left to begin his conquest of the galaxy. For half a millennium, he conquered planet after planet while his age slowly got the best of him, until Slug reached planet Earth and found 7 familiar orbs. Lord Slug can't happen for many of the same reasons as the previous film. Goku's wardrobe and skill set once again lock these events in after the Saiyan saga, but dialogue between Goku and King Kai in the Japanese dub also put this film after Namek. With the exception of Goku's lack of ability to transform into a full-fledged Super Saiyan, this makes describing why Lord Slug can't happen not much more than a repeat of Tree of Might. But that's exactly the point. Lord Slug intentionally shares similarities with its predecessor. This film marks the second occurrence of Icarus, a character exclusive to the movies who made his debut in Tree of Might. This is also the second time we see the old Namekian stretchy arm technique, which also debuted in Tree of Might and is a movie exclusive. These were included in Lord Slug for a reason. For the first time in the series, Lord Slug is a direct sequel to the previous film. The use of recurring characters and techniques wasn't from a lack of fresh ideas, it was to establish continuity in the movie timeline. And there's a big chunk of evidence to back this up. In the opening scene of Lord Slug, we see Piccolo meditating by a waterfall. But what was Piccolo doing at the very end of Tree of Might? You guessed it, meditating by a waterfall. Lord Slug was meant to pick up right where the previous film left off and continue a pattern started with Tree of Might that wouldn't break for a long time. But we'll get to that. And just in case you're still not convinced, Bulma has the same hairstyle in both movies. And that's why Lord Slug can't happen.
Age 762. After transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan, Son Goku and Frieza square off. After a long, decisive battle, Frieza accidentally cuts himself in two with his own attack. Goku gives Frieza the energy needed to escape the impending explosion of Namek and leaves him to decide his own fate. Frieza, enraged, uses the energy for one final attack. Goku regrettably fires back, overpowering the once feared tyrant one last time. Age 764. The peace the Z-Warriors have known since Namek is cut short as a familiar, sinister energy approaches the Earth. Frieza, along with his even more powerful father, King Cold, touch down on Earth, with the intention of slaughtering all of its inhabitants before Goku returns. His plans are ultimately cut short by a mysterious youth with a power Frieza now knows to fear. Sometime later, Goku, Gohan, Krillin, and Oolong decide to take a much-needed camping trip. Okay, now I know we've done this before.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have. I've read that exact line before.
That was like 7 months ago. No one even remembers that.
And whose fault is that?
Don't even start. You know what? It's my turn anyway.
No, I'm not done.
Yes, you are. All I have to do is push this button.
Don't push that button!
Shortly after the destruction of planet Namek, Frieza's older brother, Kuler, is informed of his brother's defeat at the hands of Goku and vows to take revenge. While he despised Frieza due to his spoiled nature and special treatment from their father, King Cold, Kuler had pride in his family and would not allow his brother's death to be in vain, especially when that death was caused by a Saiyan. Along with his armored squadron, Salza, Naze, and Dure, Kuler heads to Earth where he plans to kill Goku, but not before showing him his final form. At first glance, Kuler's revenge is among the more plausible Dragon Ball Z movies. Goku being on Earth, as well as Kuler having something to avenge, points to this movie occurring after Trunks arrives. Piccolo's elastic appendages, that he totally had in Dragon Ball— My bad, that's definitely canon. I was under a lot of pressure to commit to a schedule. Excuse me. Piccolo's elastic appendages and the appearance of Icarus show the film's commitment to the movie timeline, along with a new trend of Goku apparently forgetting he's a Super Saiyan, but that's more plot convenience than anything. Speaking of trends, it's once again hairstyle that suggests this movie occurs at a different time than it claims to. Gohan's hairstyle and general build seem much closer to what he had on Namek than after Trunks arrived and Goku returned, which would prove difficult considering Goku is already on Earth in the film. But none of these are the trends that matter. What's important here is that Kuler's revenge continues what previous films started, retreading stories and characters from the existing timeline. Like Turles and Slug before him, Kuler was simply a means to squeeze a little more life out of the Frieza saga. And that's why Kuler's revenge can't happen.
Age 764. After defeating Frieza once and for all, the mysterious youth informs the Z-Warriors that Goku will be arriving in 3 hours. He touches down right on schedule and is told in secret that the boy is Trunks, the son of Bulma and Vegeta, and he has traveled from the future with news of their impending doom. In 3 years, 2 killer androids would arrive and bring death and destruction in their wake. Everyone but Gohan would die in the battle, with Goku dying of a heart virus long before. Trunks returns to his own time while Goku and the others begin to train for the battle to come. A few months later, Goku decides to take a break from training and check on some old friends. Why?
Months after the events of Kuler's revenge, Goku, Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo decide to visit the new planet Namek. Upon arrival, they notice a massive machine literally sucking the life out of the planet. They land on the surface to find the Namekians under siege by an army of mechanical drones, led by a revived and rebuilt Kuler. Out of all the movies so far, the return of Kuler is by far the most possible. The very wide window in which this movie could take place goes from Trunks showing up all the way until the androids arrive. Goku wanting to take a break is in no way surprising, and even Piccolo joining is believable. He may not have chosen to live with his people, but he certainly cares for their well-being, especially considering he's merged with Nail at this point. Gohan and Krillin are both wearing the outfits they wear during the Android saga. Even Vegeta arriving on his own and transforming into a Super Saiyan could fit into the official timeline. He only transformed in front of Goku and Kuler, and Goku is unconscious when Vegeta reveals this to everyone else. Well, I guess this is why the return of Kuler can happen. JK. There's one very important detail in this movie that makes the entire thing completely impossible. Dende. While most of the Z-Warriors are fighting Kuler and his army on Namek, Dende is on Earth as its new guardian. For this to be possible, Goku and Gohan would have already trained in the hyperbolic time chamber and been using Super Saiyan as their base form. This would also mean that Trunks has come back to their time, Piccolo and Kami are fused, and Cell is waiting on Earth and wants to play a game. And that's why the return of Kuler can't happen.
Age 767. 2 androids appear 9 miles off of South City just as Trunks predicted. Unfortunately, so does Goku's heart virus. Vegeta intervenes with a new trick up his sleeve and makes short work of the android known as 19. Before number 20 can be finished for good, Trunks returns from the future and reveals that this is not an android from his time. This android is actually Dr. Gero, who makes a hasty retreat for his laboratory where he awakens the true monsters from Trunks' time, 17 and 18. Almost immediately, 17 turns on and kills Dr. Gero, unknowingly initiating his backup computer. With the newly awakened 16 in tow, the androids begin their search for Goku, who is now awake and enjoying a nice day at the mall. What the fuck?
Shortly after the death of Dr. Gero, a backup computer programmed to believe it's the Doctor himself begins working on 3 new android models. Soon, numbers 13, 14, and 15 emerge from the lab with the same mission as all of Gero's creations: kill Son Goku. Super Android 13 has a lot to offer. Unique character designs, a twist on the Spirit Bomb, and a punch to Goku's Dragon Balls that could make Colossus throw up in his mouth. And while the whole 2 androids being absorbed so one can achieve its final form thing may seem familiar, being treated to a trio of Super Saiyans more than makes up for it. That being said, this movie has no business in the Dragon Ball Z timeline. Goku being awake and Trunks being present immediately places this movie after the first battle with 17 and 18. Not only is it ridiculous that Goku and Trunks would take a day off and go to the mall when there are 6 androids after Goku, 3 of which they're aware of, not to mention Cell, who's after 2 of said androids. But even if they were to take a break, it would have to be in the minutes between Goku waking up and Trunks entering the hyperbolic time chamber with Vegeta. And Gohan and Krillin would have had to change clothes. And Piccolo would have been merged with Kami and wiped the floor with everyone. And that's why Super Android 13 can't happen.
Age 737. After receiving psychic abilities from the Kanassans as retribution for their slaughter, the Saiyan Bardock is forced to foresee the genocide of his people at the hands of the tyrannous Frieza. After his attempts to warn the other Saiyans fall on deaf ears, Bardock prepares to take on Frieza alone, knowing he won't survive. He stops only for a moment to see his newborn son Kakarot for the first and last time. Kakarot, who Bardock knew would one day avenge the Saiyan race, cries out as his father leaves. His cries are heard all too well by Broly, an infant Saiyan born with a legendary power, traumatizing him for life.
Shortly before the destruction of planet Vegeta, the Saiyan Paragus sired a son named Broly, who was born with an unbelievable power level of 10,000. Paragus approached King Vegeta with news of his son's incredible strength, believing Broly could be a tremendous asset to the Saiyans. Much to the dismay of Paragus, King Vegeta immediately ordered the execution of the child, as his power would be far too great to control. Coincidentally, at the same time, Frieza began to think the same about the entire Saiyan race. As planet Vegeta erupted from the force of Frieza's power, Broly and Paragus, who had been left for dead, managed to escape the explosion thanks to Broly's hidden strength. 30 years later, Paragus tracks down Vegeta on Earth, proclaiming him the new king of the Saiyan race. Paragus has rebuilt planet Vegeta and requests his new ruler come home. Vegeta agrees and leaves for his new planet. Meanwhile, King Kai informs Goku of the sudden disappearance of the South Galaxy and sends him to investigate. Vegeta and Paragus arrive on the new Saiyan homeworld with Trunks, Gohan, and Krillin in tow, and are introduced to Paragus' son Broly. As Vegeta settles in, Trunks and the others become skeptical and decide to investigate the planet. They quickly learn that nothing is what it seems on this world. Everything has been fabricated by Paragus to lure Vegeta into a trap. His new world is on a direct collision course with a giant comet. As Trunks attempts to warn Vegeta of Paragus' plan, Goku arrives with instant transmission, having tracked down the source of the energy that wiped out the South Galaxy. Goku's presence ignites a dormant rage within Broly, and soon our heroes have much bigger things to deal with than a comet. Broly's true power erupts as he transforms into what Vegeta thought he and the others had already achieved, the legendary Super Saiyan. Broly is nothing short of iconic when it comes to Dragon Ball films, featuring incredible animation, brilliant battle sequences, and a longer runtime than any Z movie before it. And whether you love or hate Broly, you definitely know him. Aside from hilariously questionable character motivation, Broly has a lot going for it. Unfortunately, its most probable placement in the timeline is absolutely absurd. Evidence heavily supports this movie taking place between Goku and Gohan training in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber and the Cell games. Gohan has achieved Super Saiyan, but not Super Saiyan 2. Trunks has long hair, which means it would have to be after his second year in the chamber since his hair was cut short while Goku and Gohan were still inside. Krillin seems perfectly content with the girl he's in love with having been absorbed only days ago by a big green bug monster who's still alive and about to hold a tournament, which no one in this densely populated city seems to care about. Oh yeah, and Goku's alive. Spoiler alert. Most movies before this one rehashed ideas from the main storyline, and while this may seem new and original, Broly is no different. While Broly is nothing like any villain in the main story at the time, he largely exists because a normal Super Saiyan just isn't a big deal at this point. While we weren't quite at bargain sale levels yet, all of our main heroes with Saiyan blood had reached this level, and the last movie already had elements from the androids and Cell. It's almost like an evil Super Saiyan was a natural next step. With this movie's apparent placement in the timeline, it's really not that it can't happen, it's just insane to think that it would. I can understand most of the Z Fighters being okay with enjoying a nice picnic and taking a day off from training to relax and enjoy each other's company for what might be the last time. Even Goku was ready to take a whole 3 days off of training for the Cell games to relax and make Goten. But Vegeta? He would have spent his entire time training in the chamber had it already been retconned into being okay, and he had a major score to settle with Cell. I highly doubt his Saiyan pride would allow him to abandon that even for his own planet, let alone sit down for a picnic. Plus, if he was the king, he could have just told Paragus the deal and had him circle back and get him in a few days. At the end of the day, Broly is an incredibly popular character fans can't get enough of. He sparks numerous who would win debates and is constantly the first and sometimes only movie character to make it into video games. It's hard to say this movie can't happen without just splitting hairs. All in all, it fits better into the timeline than most movies, but not as good as Bojack. Hang on a second. Gohan and Piccolo are wearing blue belts in the Cell games, but red ones in Broly. Nailed it. And that's why Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, can't happen.
Age 767. After several days of preparation, years for some of them, the Z Fighters are as prepared as they can be for the Cell games. After giving it everything he had, Goku admits defeat and for the first time in his life throws in the towel. He sends his son Gohan into the fray, who warns Cell not to push him because even he doesn't know the depths of his power. Cell takes Gohan's threat as a promise and creates 7 childlike copies of himself to torture Gohan's friends and family right in front of him. He is finally pushed over the edge when Cell kills the gentle giant Android 16. Gohan snaps and ascends to a new level of Super Saiyan. He makes short work of the Cell Juniors and even Cell himself, but his arrogance costs him dearly as Cell prepares to self-destruct. Goku teleports Cell off the Earth, losing his own life in the process. Cell soon returns stronger than ever thanks to his Saiyan and Namekian DNA. Gohan and Cell face off with an epic clash of Kamehamehas, and with Goku's encouragement from Otherworld, Cell is defeated for good. Shortly after, with the Earth finally at peace, the remaining Z-Warriors gather for a unique martial arts tournament. Aw man, this one can happen, can't it?
Not long after the conclusion of the Cell games, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Krillin, Yamcha, and Ten Shinhan decide to take advantage of the current peace in the world and compete in an intergalactic martial arts tournament hosted by the world-famous millionaire XS Cash. It's his son's birthday and he spared no expense. Not only is there an open invite to every fighter on Earth, including the current world champion Mr. Satan, but he's even managed to recruit aliens from 4 different galaxies. Gohan, Krillin, Trunks, and the sumo wrestler Doskoy advance to the finals where they expect to fight the alien warriors Cash tracked down. They are instead ambushed by a group of renegade space pirates led by the villainous Bojack, who has been a prisoner inside North Kai's planet for far too long and is now free to wreak havoc once again. Bojack Unbound is undeniably the most plausible movie in Dragon Ball Z. Not only does this film take place at the start of a 7-year time jump, but it actually has direct ties to the Cell games. Not only does Mr. Satan recognize most of the Z-Warriors from the battle with Cell, but Goku is dead along with King Kai, and Bojack being freed was a direct result of the destruction of North Kai's planet. Vegeta is as bitter as ever, having his pride shattered by Gohan and motivation to grow stronger ruined by Goku's death. Even the appearance of Gregory in this movie gives it closer ties to the series than to the other movies before it. It can't take place very long at all after the Cell game, since baby Trunks hasn't seemed to age yet, and Chi-Chi is pregnant with Goten but not yet showing. Really, the only thing we can do to try to disprove this movie is split hairs. But since hair is a specialty of mine, here it goes. Trunks' hair is long again, meaning it would have to take place either before he went back to his own time and cut it short again, or he could have gone home, taken care of the androids in his time, spent a solid year enjoying the peace, then come back to days or weeks after he left. Piccolo is wearing his movie common red belt instead of the series common blue, and Trunks' sword is intact even though he broke it over Android 18. Hairs split. And that's why Bojack Unbound can't happen?
Age 774. It's been 7 years since Gohan defeated Perfect Cell, bringing an end to the terrifying Cell games. After having several years of peace to finally focus on his studies like his mother always wanted, Gohan is ready to go to high school. Upon arriving in Satan City for his first day at Orange Star High, Gohan encounters a group of criminals. Fearing being recognized, Gohan transforms into a Super Saiyan to stop them, but connections between his school uniform and the fighters who could turn their hair blonde at the Cell games start to arise. Gohan asks Bulma to design him an outfit he can discreetly change into to fight crime, and the Great Saiyaman is born. It doesn't take long for Saiyaman to grab the attention of fellow classmate, crime fighter, and daughter of Mr. Satan, Videl. She quickly discovers Gohan's secret identity as the Great Saiyaman, but also realizes he's the son of Goku, making them both descendants of world martial arts champions. She agrees to keep Gohan's secret if he enters the upcoming world martial arts tournament and teaches her to fly. Gohan agrees, and after finding out his younger brother Goten can't fly either, he decides to hold a class for them both. Alright, what the hell is going on? Didn't you hear? The upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie is about Broly. He's gonna be canon now. And how does that affect this series? Oh, it doesn't. Seven years after the end of the Cell games, Goten, Trunks, and Videl go on the hunt for the 7 Dragon Balls. Their search leads them to a small village in the mountains where they discover what appears to be the beginning of a human sacrifice. They confront the villagers and ask for an explanation. They claim a monster has been wreaking havoc on their village, and rather than lose any number of people at any time, they have opted to make a sacrificial offer once a year, which seems to keep the beast at bay. As the village shaman Maloja attempts to move forward with the ritual, Trunks offers to stop the monster himself in exchange for his necklace. While using themselves and a plethora of food as bait to attempt to trap the monster, Goten grows hungry and begins to cry. Videl offers him some food to quiet him down, but it's too late. Goten has awakened the beast, and the three are attacked by a giant dinosaur. Goten and Trunks quickly and easily defeat the monster and restore peace to the village, but unfortunately Goten's crying woke more than just the dinosaur, and the next morning he comes face to face with an enemy from his father's past, the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Broly's Second Coming is a difficult movie to attempt to place in the Z timeline, and that's largely due to the Buu saga hitting the ground running. Once the World Tournament begins, this arc has no chill until Buu is defeated, though it still finds time to be a lot of fun. Buu is resurrected on the same day as the martial arts tournament, which Goku is temporarily alive for, and his arrival sparks many changes to the peaceful world we've known for the last 7 years. Videl's short hair and ability to fly means that this has to take place after the creation of Saiyaman, but it can't take place after the martial arts tournament. Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury attempts to make this movie take place after Goku shows off Super Saiyan 3 and returns to Otherworld, but if that were the case, Gohan would either be training on the world of the Kais or had his power unlocked by the Elder Kai and be able to defeat Broly without breaking a sweat. Oh yeah, and if that were the case, no one in this village would even exist thanks to Buu's human extinction attack. And while it may seem to some like the upcoming Dragon Ball Super Broly film makes these videos irrelevant because it's making Broly canon, it actually just adds further proof as to why Broly's Second Coming can't happen. Nope. Not long after the start of the Buu saga, just after the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, Mr. Satan is invited to the fortress and laboratory of the wealthy industrialist known as Jaguar. Mr. Satan is joined by Goten, Trunks, and Android 18, the latter of whom is hoping to collect payment for letting Mr. Satan win the recent tournament.
It's at this island fortress that Jaguar reveals his true intentions, to use genetically modified bio-warriors to show the world that Mr. Satan isn't the powerful hero he says he is. While exploring the lab, Goten and Trunks notice a familiar face in the cloning tanks and make an unsettling discovery. The shaman Maloja, exiled from his village, has provided Jaguar's scientists with a sample of Broly's blood, and they've created a clone of the legendary Super Saiyan. The clone escapes his tank before the cloning process is complete, and the culture fluid designed to regenerate his body instead corrupts it, creating the terrifying Bio Broly. The third installment in the soon-to-be trilogy of old Broly movies, Bio Broly is kind of a mess, literally and figuratively. Like its predecessor, it's very difficult to fit into the Z timeline. Its small cast could allow for Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan to be off doing their Buu adventures, mostly involving being dead. Goten and Trunks can't seem to fuse yet, and the amount of people on Earth would suggest Super Buu hasn't wiped most of the population out yet. While this movie has another direct tie to the series with the World Martial Arts Tournament, all that does is tell us that the Supreme Kai and Babidi have already met Goku and the Z Fighters, and the events of the Buu arc are in full motion. That means the only time this movie could possibly take place is when Goten and Trunks are on their way to Babidi's ship, but then Krillin couldn't be there because he's made of stone. But none of this will matter soon when our new canon Broly buries this trilogy forever. And that's why Bio Broly can't happen.
Age 774. After agreeing with Videl to compete in the upcoming tournament, Gohan decides to recruit his friends and fellow Z fighters. After getting Vegeta, Trunks, Piccolo, Krillin, and 18 to participate, a familiar voice from the sky tells everyone he'll enter too. Goku has been granted a 24-hour pass to come back from Otherworld, and he can't think of a better way to spend his time than the World Martial Arts Tournament. The day quickly arrives and a heartfelt reunion commences as Goku meets his young son Goten for the first time. As the tournament moves forward, the Z fighters stun the crowd round after round. Piccolo, competing under the name Ma Jr., finds himself matched up with a mysterious fighter named Shin and decided to throw in the towel, believing him to be the Grand Kai. It turns out he's actually the Supreme Kai and has entered the tournament to stop a plot from the evil wizard Babidi, who has entered his own henchmen, Spopovich and Yamu, in order to absorb energy from the Z Warriors to revive a creature of unspeakable evil and power known as Majin Buu. After leaving the tournament to find Babidi's spaceship, Goku and the others encounter Dabura, second in command to the wizard and current king of the Demon Realm. Dabura quickly senses the evil intentions lying dormant in Vegeta's heart, and before too long, Vegeta is brought under Babidi's control. He demands a long overdue rematch with Goku, and every blow the two land gives energy to Majin Buu. They fight at a level beyond Super Saiyan, and before long, Buu is revived and makes short work of Gohan and the Supreme Kai. Vegeta, realizing he's made a terrible mistake, catches Goku off guard and leaves to confront Buu himself. He holds his young son Trunks and tells him he's proud, then sacrifices himself to destroy Buu. His sacrifice is unfortunately in vain as Buu regenerates completely, and Vegeta, who has left thousands dead in his lifetime, begins his afterlife in hell. Well, that sucks.
7 years after the Cell Games, as the Earth has known years of peace, trouble begins stirring in Otherworld. As King Yemma goes about his daily business of sending spirits to heaven or hell, a teenage demon under his employ fails to notice a soul purification tank filling over its capacity thanks to the volume of his headphones. The tank erupts, spewing out pure evil cleansed from souls bound for hell, and transforming him into the childish giant Janemba. The creature has literal otherworldly powers, able to seal anything he wants in jelly bean-like crystals, and even messing with the order of life and death. Janemba soon gathers the attention of Goku and Piccon, who are soon joined by the recently deceased Vegeta. Together, they attempt to stop Janemba as his power continues to grow, and soon Goku and Vegeta are forced to rely on each other in a way they never have before, by fusing their minds and bodies into the incredibly powerful Super Saiyan Gogeta. Fusion Reborn definitely sits on the same side of the scale as some of its other more plausible counterparts, and is uniquely tied to the series while also completely impossible. If the movie chose to ignore everything happening on Earth and focus solely on the events unfolding in Otherworld, Fusion Reborn would be case-closed canon. Goku is dead, Gohan is great Saiyamanning. If it weren't for Vegeta being dead too, we could easily place this movie just before the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament. Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury for the Game Boy Advance even did a great job shoehorning it into the middle of the Buu saga, which worked because the game cut all of the Earth segments out of the movie. Unfortunately, Vegeta being dead and Goten and Trunks knowing the fusion technique means this has to take place after the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai and after Goku goes back to Otherworld.
But if that's the case, where's Majin Buu? And why isn't Gohan off training on the world of the Kais? Even if this movie has one of the single greatest English dubbed screams of all time, don't at me, it unfortunately doesn't stop the Nazi B story on Earth from ruining this movie's placement in the timeline. Way to go, Hitler, you fucking dick. And that's why Fusion Reborn can't happen.
Age 774. After Vegeta performs the ultimate sacrifice to atone for his actions and save his wife and son, Piccolo decides to pay his respects to the late proud warrior. His eulogy is cut short upon realizing Majin Buu is still alive and no worse for wear. Piccolo and Krillin manage to escape to the lookout with the unconscious Goten and Trunks in tow. As the Z-Warriors and their friends and loved ones convene at the lookout, they learn the unfortunate series of events that transpired since the tournament. Majin Buu has been successfully resurrected and Vegeta and Gohan were killed in the battle. Knowing all hope is not yet lost, Goku sends Trunks to West City to acquire the Dragon Radar while he holds off Majin Buu himself. Goku reveals a new form he learned in Otherworld and he transforms into the powerful Super Saiyan 3. Using his awesome new strength, Goku manages to keep Buu at bay until Trunks returns. Goku teleports back to the lookout, but not before giving Buu a bit of friendly advice about his master. Majin Buu hears loud and clear that he's way too strong to take orders from Babidi and brutally punches his former master's head into pulp. Back at the lookout, Goku reveals one final ace up his sleeve that he learned in Otherworld. The Metamarise fusion technique can combine the powers of two similar fighters into one perfect warrior. Goku uses what time he has left in the mortal realm to teach Piccolo and Krillin the technique so they can pass it on to its intended users, the young Goten and Trunks. As the boys learn to perfect the art of fusion, an unlikely friendship begins to form on Earth below. Mr. Satan, who attempted to take Buu out himself, saw that the monster had an innocent heart and only killed because he was ordered to. Majin Buu vows to kill no more and even adopts a puppy. Unfortunately for everyone involved, two humans named Smitty and Van Zant decide to have a little fun with the end of the world and go on a killing spree. They kill Buu's puppy in front of him, sending him into a rage that literally splits him in two. The newly formed evil Buu quickly defeats and absorbs his heavyweight counterpart, transforming into the even more powerful Super Buu. Having gained the ability to sense energy, Buu heads to the lookout where Goten and Trunks are still mastering fusion in the hyperbolic time chamber. Piccolo regretfully asks Buu to literally kill time with the people of Earth. Buu takes a short walk around the lookout, then with a raise of his hand wipes out every person on Earth except one, his old friend Mr. Satan. Piccolo, filled with regret, brings Buu to the boys and their battle commences. The mighty fused warrior Gotenks proves to be a powerful, albeit immature, showboat, and before long, Buu seems to be in the lead. Piccolo destroys the door to the chamber, seeming to seal them inside forever. Buu, convinced he'll never again get to enjoy the sweets he loves, unleashes a dimension-shattering scream and escapes. Gotenks reveals he used his alone time in the chamber properly and unleashes Super Saiyan 3, using it to escape with Piccolo. Unfortunately, Majin Buu used his time on the outside to turn every remaining Z-Warrior and their family into candy and consume them. Gotenks unleashes his rage and fights Buu until his body can no longer sustain fusion. All hope seems lost when a familiar power arrives. Gohan is alive. The Supreme Kai, who survived Buu's earlier attack, brought Gohan to the sacred world of the Kais, where his full potential was unlocked by yet another Supreme Kai trapped within the legendary Z-Sword. Gohan quickly shows Buu how strong he has become and completely overpowers him. Desperate, Buu absorbs the power of both Gotenks and Piccolo and transforms, turning the tables yet again. Realizing there is no other way to defeat Buu, the Elder Kai gives Goku both his earrings and his life force and teaches him a new but permanent form of fusion, the Potara. Goku teleports to Earth to fuse with Gohan, but Buu is one step ahead and absorbs him too. Knowing he is absolutely no match for the powered-up Buu, Goku desperately decides to fuse with Mr. Satan when suddenly he recognizes an energy signature on Earth. Thanks to King Yemma, Vegeta has returned, and after a desperate plea from Goku, the last two surviving Saiyans fuse into the mighty Vegito. Vegito completely overpowers Buu with minimal effort and eventually lets himself be absorbed to save his friends and family. While inside Buu, Goku and Vegeta's bodies split, not aware only Kai's are fused by the earrings permanently. The two start literally tearing through Buu, removing everyone he absorbed, including the original Fat Buu. After freeing everyone, Goku and Vegeta escape and watch Buu transform into his ruthless original form not seen for centuries. The terrifying Kid Buu wastes no time and immediately destroys the Earth, forcing Goku and Vegeta to teleport to safety on the world of the Kais. Buu follows them and the final battle begins. Goku does everything he can in a final one-on-one confrontation, but Buu's limitless stamina and regeneration prove to be too much for him. Vegeta holds off Buu while Goku makes one final attempt, the Spirit Bomb. The Kais and the Namekians have been helping behind the scenes, and thanks to the Namekian Dragon Balls, Earth and its inhabitants have been restored along with every good-natured inhabitant, including Vegeta. Goku can't seem to gather enough energy to beat Buu until Mr. Satan intervenes and convinces the people of Earth to help. Their energy creates the biggest Spirit Bomb to date, but Goku doesn't have the strength to use it. Dende uses their final wish to restore Goku's power, and hoping Buu can return one day as a good guy, he destroys him once and for all. Wow, this sure was a long one.
Yeah, well, I figured we'd go all out for the finale, you know?
Wait, finale?
A short time after the defeat of Majin Buu, Videl receives a distress call in the middle of class. A man is preparing to jump off a high tower and take his own life. She and Gohan transform into their superhero alter egos, the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, and head off to save him. They rescue the strange man named Hoi, who had earlier watched them from the shadows as they apprehended a group of bank robbers. He requires their help in releasing the legendary warrior Tapion, who is imprisoned inside a music box. After both Gohan and Goku attempt to open the box to no avail, Hoi suggests that they seek help from the Eternal Dragon Shenron. The Z-Warriors quickly gather the Dragon Balls, and soon Tapion is released from his instrumental incarceration. Much to our hero's surprise, Tapion is anything but thankful for being released. A monster lies dormant within him. Tapion and his late brother Minosha are each responsible for containing half of the giant beast Harudegarn, who is now free to wreak havoc on the Earth. Wrath of the Dragon is the final Dragon Ball Z film to date that doesn't belong in the canon timeline, although it has a lot of reasons it could. This movie is packed full of evidence to its placement after the defeat of Kid Buu. Goku is alive and using Super Saiyan 3, Goten and Trunks have mastered fusion and are also using Super Saiyan 3, Vegeta is still rocking Earthish clothes and hasn't gone back to battle armor, Gohan has clearly had his potential unlocked by the Elder Kai, and Videl has assumed her role of Great Saiyaman 2. An easy way to lock it into the first few months after Kid Buu's defeat is the absence of his chubby counterpart. The fact that our heroes get no assistance from their new ally Majin Buu can easily be explained by the fact that he's currently being hidden by Mr. Satan until Goku can use the Dragon Balls to wipe Buu from the Earthlings' memories. Not even the events of Battle of Gods and the rest of Super do anything to stop this movie from being possible. In fact, if you stop your DVD or Blu-ray or VHS or Funimation Now or Crunchyroll or Verve or whatever you kids watch your Dragon Ball on these days, if you stop watching just a few seconds early, this movie is canon Ball Z. But it's a simple nostalgic nod that nullifies this movie's placement in the timeline. If future Trunks got his sword from Chrono here, then androids are coming and everyone's going to die but Trunks and Gohan, forcing Trunks to go back to the past where he'll set off a chain reaction of split timelines and a big green bug monster will take another time machine so he can come back to the past to absorb the same androids Trunks is trying to defeat, creating even more timelines where Raditz is replaced by a former Kami contender, another Saiyan survived and he's really into Arbor Day, Frieza has a cooler brother, there's another Super Saiyan who's both canon and not canon at the same time, Hell freezes over and Goku and Vegeta have to fuse into a non-canon, now-canon warrior, and oh yeah, there's even more f***ing androids! And just in case you think I forgot to mention hair and clothes, Gotenks being a Super Saiyan 3 covers both. And that's why Wrath of the Dragon can't happen.
Seriously, am I fired?